Hello and welcome to another edition of Let's Talk Criterion. Now before I begin, I wanted to raise the topic of Criterion releases in the UK and how there appears to have been a downward slide of releases over the last year. Now they have announced Repulsion for May, which of course has been available on Blu-ray in the US collection since March 2017. Now they've also put back the release of Smooth Talk by Joyce Chopra to June, which originally had a May release in the UK, so that means only one UK Criterion releases this month. Now they also seem to randomly choose films already available in the US collection, with hardly any new titles getting a UK release. Now that could be licensing issues, or it could just be with regard to new films, and of course there's already a competition in the UK market for this, with releasing of titles by Studio Canal and Mubi, and these tend to get early release dates only to be followed by the same release of the same film by Criterion in the US. Examples for this would include The Worst Person in the World, Drive My Car, and the up-and-coming The Servant, all having Blu-ray releases or 4K releases a short while before in the UK, before they come out in the US in Criterion. Now I suspect it's due more to Criterion scheduling. No clearer example of this would be than the Joseph Losey film The Servant, scheduled for US Criterion, but we've already had it on 4K through Studio Canal in the UK. Now I'd love to know your thoughts on this. As a big Criterion collector, I do tend to already have bought a lot of the UK releases we're getting now, so there's not really much in the UK release schedule that would interest me. So now on to Branded to Kill, our main feature on this edition. Now it's already a Blu-ray in the US collection, but I don't have that one fully. When Japanese new wave bad boy Seijun Suzuki delivered this brutal, hilarious and visually inspired masterpiece to the executives at his studio at the time, he was promptly fired. Branded to Kill tells the ecstatically bent story of a Yakuza assassin with his fetish for sniffing steamed rice, the chipmunk-cheeked superstar Joe Shishido, who botches a job and ends up a target himself. This is Suzuki at his most extreme, the flabbergasting pinnacle of his 60s pop art aesthetic. Branded to Kill was released as a B-feature on the Nikkatsu circuit on June 15, 1967, but it didn't last long in the theatres. Nikkatsu's president at the time, Hori Kyosaku, hated the film and withdrew it from distribution as soon as the initial play dates were over, and ordered his production staff to stop assigning projects to Suzuki. And on April the 25th, 1968, bad went to worse. Hori had his secretary call Suzuki at home to inform him that his monthly salary would be stopped. In response, Suzuki successfully sued Nikkatsu and garnered support from student groups, like-minded filmmakers and the general public, causing a major controversy throughout the entire Japanese film industry at the time. Suzuki was blacklisted and did not make another feature film for a decade at least, but became a counter-cultural icon. Now by the 1980s, Branded to Kill had gained a strong international cult following. Film critics and enthusiasts now regard it as an absurdist masterpiece. It's been cited as an influence by filmmakers like Jim Jarmusch, John Woo, Park Chan-wook, Quentin Tarantino and Nicholas Winding Refn. Goro Hanada, the Japanese underworld's third-ranked hitman, and his wife Mami fly into Tokyo and are met by Kasuga, a former hitman turned taxi driver. Hanada agrees to help Kasuga return to the underworld, and the three go to a club owned by a Yakuza boss. Now the two men are hired to escort a client from Sagami Beach to Nagano, and after the meeting, his boss, Yabuhara, seduces Mami, and like many of its Yakuza film contemporaries, Branded to Kill shows the influence of James Bond at the time and film noir. The result has been alternately described as a work of surrealism, absurdism and avant-garde, and included in the Japanese New Wave movement. Suzuki employed a wide variety of techniques and claimed his singular focus in the film was to make it as entertaining as possible. Now the film was shot in black and white in something called Nikkatsu scope, It's synonymous with cinemascope. Due to the wide frame, moving a character forward didn't produce the dynamic effect that Suzuki desired, and instead he relied on spotlighting and chiaroscuro imagery to create excitement and suspense in the film. Conventional framing and film grammar were disregarded largely in favour of spontaneous inspiration, and in his editing process, Suzuki frequently abandoned continuity completely, favouring abstract jumps in time and space, and he found that made the film far more engaging. Now, the most famous of the film's many set pieces, of course, are the three bizarre hits that Hanada carries out for his boss Yabuhara. One through a mechanically animated advertising hoarding, one through the plumbing in an optometrist's surgery, and the third one is in an office with a hot air balloon outside the window. Now, we learned sometime later that the three victims had all muscled in on a diamond smuggling racket and thus they deserved to die, but the actual hits are presented without preamble or explanation, and they simply just occur as moments on a thrill ride. Branded to Kill comes to 4K UHD in Criterion and goes across two discs as normal, a 4K disc and a Blu-ray disc, with the following special features. There are interviews with director Seijun Suzuki and the assistant director Masami Kuzu. Interview with Suzuki from 1997. Interview with actor Joe Shishido. A trailer and an essay written by the critic and historian Tony Raines. And the cover art is by Eric Skillman. Now, clearly, the decision to fire this director did him a massive favour, and he sued for unfair dismissal and, of course, won his case. And time has catapulted this highly original film into the centre of avant-garde Japanese cinema. With a running time of 91 minutes and an aspect ratio of 239:1, that's black bars, Branded to Kill is released on 4K UHD Blu-ray on Tuesday the 9th of May, and it's Spine 38.